So, going back to your conversations that you've had with people from the other side of the aisle, in our previous conversation, you kind of did mention or allude to a lack of bipartisanship, especially when the when Congress was controlled by the Democrats, the White House was also controlled by the Democrats. There maybe was a lack of, from the other side, a lack of willingness to work and reach across the aisle. And do you feel like because the House is now controlled by the Republicans, there has been more bipartisanship and better relationships between Republicans and Democrats working together?
Um, I think there's a more seriousness. The debt ceiling agreement, it was ultimately bipartisan. And it was because there was a serious approach to what's going on in the society, in our government. Unlike my brothers and sisters on the left, who just wanted to raise the debt ceiling and avoid the conversation. Much of my criticism before, when there was unified Democrat control, was the insatiable appetite to keep spending. This functionally lying to the American people, saying, well, if we just raise taxes on people over 400,000, we can finance things. And look, 400,000 and up in income is 2% of the population. We're not going to finance even a fraction of the debt, the borrowing, and the coming borrowing on that 2% of the population. It's sort of the political folklore so many people have run their campaigns on. And look, Republicans are sinners too. We often say, well, if we got rid of foreign aid or waste and fraud, every dime of foreign aid would cover about 12 days of borrowing. So yes, my answer is Republicans were completely frozen out in the previous couple of years. That's Democrat unified government. Now that we have divided government, if you're going to accomplish anything to the point where you get a signature on it, it requires you have to work with both sides. And that's one of the difficulties for everyone here, because we all got so used to sort of the posturing of no Republicans' ideas were going to pass, all Democrat ideas were going to pass. And now we're forced to actually talk to each other.
So, that being said, what would you like to see the two sides work on together next?
Math.
What more generally about?
Look, but I say that I'm dead serious. Remember your opening question, and I said demographics. The Social Security Trust Fund is not magically going to heal itself. The new projections, substantially because of inflation, and my feelings that much of inflation was 100% set off by a combination of monetary policy and Democrat spending. But healthcare inflation is 2.5 times faster than mean CPI. Meaning we're seeing some new calculations, like Bloomberg Intelligence over the last week said by the end of the decade we're at 130% debt to GDP. If that math is accurate, that means over this 10 years we will borrow more than all the publicly held debt that exists today. That's coming off the rails. Even Moody's Analytics has us at 121% of debt to GDP 9 budget years from now. That's everything. That's what takes down republics. And yet we will sit here and do the shiny objects. And so you ask, what should we be doing with Democrats? Democrats own calculators. I don't know if there's batteries in them, but sorry, that was sarcastic. This is the thing that will ultimately crush the poor, crush the economy, and the ones who really get destroyed are people who are trying to survive their retirements, have retirement security, and younger populations who are going to pay just stunning amounts of taxes. And yet, how often is this part of your interviews, your conversations?